Hello. Welcome back to my channel. I am Monet and you are watching Life is Monet. I wanted to start the year off right by just kind of analyzing my shelves and pulling off books that I know that I want to get to in 2023. I feel like this helps me be less scattered and overwhelmed throughout the year because I'm always kind of subconsciously focused on getting my TBR down. That was my objective for last year. I started 2022 with over 300 unread books. I did a massive amount of reading last year with a few unhauls in between, and I am down to like under 170. So I'm literally 20 books away from cutting my unread TBR in half, and I feel really excited about that. However, having such an overwhelming amount, I think, of unread TBRs makes me feel like, what do I read next, and like how do I go about getting my TBR down? And it makes me feel like I'm everywhere and very scattered. So by prioritizing some books that I know I want to get to, it makes me feel like I'm making progress, however small, and then any books I get to outside of that feels like extra incentives, and it just makes me feel like I'm doing a really good job with my reading. So I have a combination of standalone novels as well as series that I not only want to start this year, but I absolutely want to finish. So I tried to keep this list pretty short. First up is more so an author than just one particular book, and that is going to be Emily St. John Mandel. I have wanted to get my hands on Station 11 for so long, and the hardback was sold out, and then I finally grabbed it, and it's been sitting on my shelf for about 4 months now, which is not really bad. I did such an amazing job last year reading all of the 2022 releases that I purchased within the same year that I grabbed them. I can literally count on one hand how many 2022 releases that I purchased and did not read. The Sea of Tranquility is one of them. So I want to make sure that I get to this before it gets to the point of just being a permanent unread book on my TBR. I know that these two particular books are like sci-fi novels that deals with some type of catastrophic event to mankind or humanity on the verge of going extinct. I have very vague notions of what these books are about. I think that there's a pandemic component to this one, but I'm not exactly sure. I know that I also want to read The Glass Hotel, which is a memoir about hers that is completely raved about, that I was supposed to pick up a few years back for a project, but I just never ended up reading. So this will be the year of Emily on my channel because I plan to read those 3 books for sure. The next book that's a priority read for me in 2023 is going to be Crossing. There is something about this cover that just draws me in. It's a book about a book, so I find that to be absolutely fantastic. I'm very excited for this one. We're following this Paris bookbinder who completes this book for this very famous bibliophile. And she really has one thing, which is for him not to read the book at all. But when he goes to deliver this very mysteriously constructed book, he finds that the person who ordered this book has actually been murdered, and he is convinced that her murder has something to do with the book. And so he does the one thing that she tells him not to. He reads it. And that sounds like the beginning of a wonderful story for me. So this would probably be a 5-star prediction. I anticipate this year creating another 5-star predictions video because that's another thing that really helped me last year, was having a list of priority reads that I felt like I was going to love and enjoy. And for the most part, I did really love those books. I gave them no less than 4 stars. So I'm pretty good about knowing my taste. And so I want to put together another list of books that I feel like I'm going to have a great time with, and Crossing is one of them. The next book was supposed to be a buddy read with a friend of mine, and we're terrible at getting around to it, but I will not be reading this book without her. I'm going to make sure that we buddy read it this year if I have to bully her. She's probably watching this video, so she probably knows exactly what I'm talking about. But that is going to be The Gentleman in Moscow. I can't believe that I haven't gotten around to it. A lot of my favorite booktubers that I follow, this is like a classic for them, an all-time favorite for them, and I purchased it off that whim, and I'm just like, why are we failing to pick this book up? I'm not exactly sure. We're going to be following a gentleman literally in Moscow. He has been consigned to house arrest in this hotel across from the Kremlin. Because he is an enemy of the Bolsheviks, he has to fly under the radar and lay low while watching some of the darkest periods happen to Russia in the 1920s. The next book that I want to get to is The Paper Daughters of Chinatown. I don't know why, but something about this book makes me think that it's going to be a transformative experience for me, something something that's just going to unlock a whole new perspective and a wide array of emotions. And I have had this sitting on a particular cart that is really out of sight, out of mind, and that is 11 times out of 10 the reason why I haven't gotten to this book yet, because I know that if it was in a place where I could see it while I was picking out my next reads, I would have already grabbed it. I need to move this particular cart from where it is because there's a lot of books on that cart that I have already read, and so when I put unread books on that cart, I often forget that they're over there. So there's a couple of books on that cart that I need to clear off this year, but this is going on my priority list. This book is set in the 19th century in San Francisco. We're following the impacts of this underground criminal organization that basically buys and sells Chinese immigrant women into prostitution and slavery. The name paper girls is often what these girls are called because they use fake documents to get into America illegally. And because of that, they really have nowhere to go to seek refuge because they're not even supposed to be here, and so they definitely can't turn to the government or rely on the government to break up this underground human trafficking that is happening right under their nose. The story alternates between multiple characters in the story, one of which I know thinks that she's coming to America to get married, only to find out that she has been sold into prostitution. Next up is a series that I need to finish in 2023 because they have been sitting on my shelves long enough, and that is going to be the Red Rising series. I read Red Rising in 2021? 2022? I'm not sure. I think I read it just a year ago at this point, and I've forgotten everything about it. I definitely need to reread Red Rising before I can go into the next two. I've heard nothing but astounding and just groundbreaking reviews for this series, and it's building up my anticipation. However, I also still don't expect much. I did not love Red Rising as much as everyone else did, and I probably would not have continued with the series if I did not already own it, and I probably would not have owned the series if it wasn't gifted to me. However, even though I didn't love the book, I could still understand why a lot of people did, and so I'm looking forward to seeing or just kind of watching events unfold so that I can see what everybody is so up in arms about, and maybe it'll make me fall in love with the series. I'm not exactly sure. However, I always find it kind of amusing to read a book that has such huge hype around. It's just something comical about it when I actually read it, and it's just like, okay, sure. This is an adult sci-fi novel set on Mars, and this society has a strict hierarchy, and the reds are considered at the bottom and the golds are considered higher up. And we follow a particular red named Darrow who experiences something that really shakes him to his core, wakes him up to the society that he's living in, and he actually starts to join this revolution that sends him in to the gold society, and he pretends to be one of them to take them down from the inside. I feel like I did a very terrible description of that, but I'm not going to redo it. There's a bunch of reviews that you could find better words shrunk together in a sentence than what I just did. The next series that I know for a fact I'll be getting to, because at this point I've read one series in the entire world so far a year, and that is going to be The Realm of the Elderlings. It is time for me to go back to Fitz after reading the Ship of Magic series. I am very interested to see how I'm going to feel about these books because I've seen so many people say that this is just so much better than the Farseer trilogy, and while I read the Farseer trilogy, I did not love the Farseer trilogy. I thought it was okay. I did not really understand the hype around Robin Hobb until I read Ship of Magic. That book absolutely slapped. But unfortunately, it went downhill for me because I did not love book 2 as much as I loved book 1. And I don't think I really liked book 3 at all. And I definitely did not like book 3 in the Farseer trilogy. So it's been very inconsistent with me so far. I haven't seemed to be able to enjoy an entire series. However, I feel like I have high hopes for this one because I've already read from Robin Hobb. This is going to be my 3rd series that I'm reading from her. And we're following characters that we have already followed before, The Fist and the Fool. So I think I have very adjusted expectations for how she might tell the story because she chose to tell the Farseer trilogy in such a slow manner. It was very character centric. It took a while to build up, and I don't even think that really the plot, even though like in hindsight I felt like the plot was pretty solid, it definitely just doesn't stick out when you think about the Farseer trilogy. So I feel like I'm ready. I'm ready if it's slow. I'm ready if it takes a long time to get there. I'm ready if, you know what I'm saying? Like I feel prepared. I feel prepared, and so maybe while I have realistic expectations, I might actually enjoy these. I can't tell you what this is about because I actually haven't read them yet. But in the Farseer trilogy, which is where you have to start before you read these, we're following Fitz, who is the bastard of a prince who basically stepped outside of his marriage. Unfortunately, he loses his life pretty early, and the king is not really sure what to do with this bastard son because technically he could make a play for the throne. However, bastards, especially royal bastards, are really mistreated within this world, and Fitz very much experiences that. And so what the king does is allows him to train to be an assassin to serve the crown in an honorable way. I think that Fitz is literally like 6 years old when we first meet him. It's a very sad and tragic story. There's a lot of just emotional heartstrings that are pulled because you want him to live a better life, but Robin Hobb is not forgiving with her characters, and so I've seen a lot of them suffer. Another thing that I feel like I'm pretty prepared for. A series that I started in December that I want to go ahead and just clear off my shelf in this year is going to be The Book of the Ancestor by Mark Lawrence. The first book is The Red Sister, the second is The Grey Sister, and the last book is The Holy Sister. In this series, we are following Nona. Nona is a peculiar girl that stands out in a wide variety of ways. Because she is a bit of an oddball, after a particular incident that happens in her village, they basically sell her to the child taker, and the child taker sells her to someone that's going to turn her into like a fighting weapon. When she's there, she actually attacks someone of great stature within this world, and she is sentenced to die. However, she's saved from being executed by this particular nun, and she is taken to this school to learn how to serve the ancestor. So she's basically like this assassin nun, and so we watch her basically train and grow. There's a prophecy that is happening within this world. There's some political intrigue, some power play dynamics that are going on. Basically, in the first book, we're trying to figure out where Nona fits in this prophecy because it's really open to interpretation, and a lot of people have gotten a lot of things wrong about the prophecy so far. Next up is a standalone fantasy, and that is going to be The Goblin Emperor. I've heard fantastic things about this, especially from Elle over on Elliot Brooks' channel. In this book, we're following Maya. Maya was basically born as a result of a marriage from a treaty. Maya is so unimportant to this kingdom and so far removed from the throne that he basically grows up in exile. However, something happens to where his father as well as all of his siblings are murdered, and he is the last remaining descendant, and he has to ascend to this throne. And Maya basically needs to figure out not only how to survive but also how to run this kingdom when he's not even sure who he can trust, and he is in so far above his head because he has never even considered the idea that he might one day be ruling this kingdom. So the next book was gifted to me by someone who thought that I would love it, and I honestly plan to pick it up so much sooner than now, but just like with the Paper Girls of Chinatown, it was at the bottom of my shelves all the way to a corner behind a flower pot, and I honestly just forgot that I owned it, and so I need to make sure that I read it this year, and that is going to be The Beautiful Ones. I know that this is a historical fiction with a very light amount of fantasy. I think there's like telekinesis within the story, and we are following one particular character by the name of Nina, who's getting ready to make her debut as a debutante within the society, and she has been told that she can marry for love and that she won't be really paired up. However, there's someone else within the story who's very just against that nature and is determined to basically throw those plans awry. There's a romance in here, there's some family jealousy in here, some family messiness. Honestly, I might pick this up as soon as I'm done filming this video because it sounds like exactly what I need right now. And then the last priority read for 2023 is a highly anticipated, and I just know, like, you can't tell me I'm not gonna love these. That is going to be Legends of the First Empire by Michael J. Sullivan. If you have been following my channel, in 2021, Michael J. Sullivan ruled my life, okay? He was everything, okay? He was the sun, and me as my little book reader, I revolved around him. The Rhaenyra Revelations slapped. I still think about the iconic time that I had reading that series. It can't be topped. It can't be topped. Like, that and like The Bear and the Nightingale, but like honestly, The Bear and the Nightingale had some cute little moments. It was a fun time, but like the Rhaenyra Revelations was a grand slam. It was a grand slam of a fucking time. So I cannot believe that it took me so long to get to Legends of the First Empire. I kept putting it off because like I don't want to be over. I don't want to get to the end of his series. But there is, the Rhaenyra Revelations is in a particular time period. The Legends of the First Empire is a prequel to the Rhaenyra Revelations. And then now he's writing a sequel. And I think he is getting ready to come out with the final book in that series. So now technically I'm 2 series behind. And that makes me feel good, right? Because as soon as I'm done reading all 6 of these, and I'm going to blow through them, Bet your ass I will. As soon as I'm done reading all 6 of these, I'll have another series that I can continue to put off because I don't want to be done with his writing. Death of Swords is also centered around a prophecy, and it has a religious like church component to it. And Hadrian and Royce, the time period that they're in, there's been a lot of miscommunications and misunderstandings around the prophecy and what's true about their history and what's not. So I am even more ecstatic to actually go back in time and find out just how fucked up Hadrian and Royce's time period was and why they possibly got so many things wrong, because history is often misconstrued, and so I'm here to learn the truth. That's what I'm going into Legends of the First Empire for, to learn the truth. And that basically concludes all of my top priority reads for 2023. If you have some books that you'll be reading, comment them down below. I want to know. And thank you guys for watching my video, for supporting my channel. I truly appreciate you. If you've made it to the end of my video, leave me a sword down in the comment section, and I will see you next time.